All boarding the Zack Snyder hate train yet again. I'm not getting anywhere near that thing, you freaking haters. Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button. And please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Fridays. Yes, Friday's edition of the DC Multiverse Daily. And they're certainly getting on that Zack Snyder hate train. More on that a little bit later. But the breaking news from last night is that Henry Cavill says he will not be returning to shoot some new scenes for Zack Snyder's Justice League. That was in last night. Basically what happened was the Collider journalist Steve Weintraub went and asked him when he was interviewing him over they did an interview for Enola Holmes starring Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill, and they asked him will he be returning to do additional scenes for Zack Snyder's Justice League, and Henry simply said no, that is not the case. So Henry said that. So let's be clear here, there's no drama here. There's no heartbreak, there's no issues, there's no problem here. If Henry indeed isn't returning to shoot extra scenes, additional scenes for Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's because Zack Snyder doesn't require him to. I repeat, if Henry isn't returning to shoot more scenes, it's because Zack Snyder doesn't require him to, right? It's not a drama. It's not a big deal. We have got over 4 hours of a movie to look forward to, which will first be broadcast as a mini-series, a 4-episode mini-series, right? It's very exciting. Zack Snyder's been given $70 million to the despair of the haters, right? To finish this movie, to go back and do some reshoots. And we know that the Martian Manhunter shooting has to be done as well. That's exciting that Zack finally gets to do that. Now, the claim is that he's going to be filming for over a week. It could be for longer, $70 million. I think he could be shooting for over a month. But who knows what's going on there. Now, people are not happy. The haters are not happy. You've got people like Dan Slott, a very toxic comic book writer, who's been lecturing us all that Spider-Man making fun of Kingpin's weight isn't good and isn't kind and could hurt children's mental health, right? He's got he's got the Be Kind hashtag down to a T, but then he posts a thread slaughtering Zack Snyder, about the $70 million he's getting, and the film was claimed to be finished, but he's getting $70 million, trying to make Zack look like a liar. Then there was the woman from the entertainment industry, or a journalist, I don't know who she was. Oh, women can't even get $10 million to make a picture, and he's getting $70 million to finish his project. What about COVID-19? We're desperate for investment for a vaccine, and they're giving him $70 million. Last time I looked, Warner Media isn't a member of the Pharmaceutical Society or a government. But let me be clear, every fucking studio has invested in the search for a vaccine for COVID-19. But you keep on going with your false narratives and your evil agendas. Your hatred will destroy you. Destroy you. The mystery of the hatred for this man is unbelievable, right? And, as I say, the debate, whether the film was finished or not. Zack Snyder said something on Vero, and I don't know if this is a past quote or from yesterday, but he said, listen, the film was never completely finished. I need to go back because I want to add some things to it, and I don't see what the problem with that is. Absolutely, Zack. Couldn't agree more. You are not doing anything wrong. Just for the mere fact that this studio is giving him $70 million to finish this project means they know what they have is solid gold. They know it's going to boost their subscriber count. They're going to make money from the Blu-rays and the digital releases. This is money to print. Because the more these people, these haters discuss this, the more intrigue for this picture that there will be. And as I predicted before, this will be the most watched, most successful streaming event on any streaming service of all time. And I don't know who holds the record for that right now. And then we move on to Forbes and Mr. Scott Mendelson, who's got an article basically saying, this article basically says that DC should move away from Zack Snyder's DC universe because he deems it to be a failure. So let's see what he had to say. How Zack Snyder's Justice League continues to haunt a resurgent DC films. At some point, where Warner Brothers needs to start making sure that DC films is defined by Wonder Woman, Aquaman and Joker instead of by Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad and Justice League. If the DC movies weren't defined by BVS and Man of Steel, the discussion would shrink. Now, I can sit there talking about Joker movie all day, maybe even Wonder Woman and Aquaman. They're brilliant films. But you don't just shrink Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel away from the conversation. They are part of this universe. Buried in the Wraps article yesterday concerning Warner Brothers allowing Zack Snyder a week's worth of reshoots for his recut of Justice League is the tidbit arguing that the whole process will cost $70 million. That includes post-production and SFX work on previously shot footage from before Snyder was swapped out for Joss Whedon in early 2017, as well as a new score courtesy of Junkie XL, despite earlier reports that Snyder would merely have to work with the footage that previously existed. He's getting time and money to bring back the core cast, presumably Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, just been talking about that, not so sure about that, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller and Ray Fisher for pickups. This process is going to cost more than Joker's entire $6.25 million budget. For those who came in late, Snyder was allegedly micromanaged on the set of Justice League after the mixed reception of the critically panned Batman vs Superman, $873 million worldwide from a $424 million global launch, and eventually stepped away from the project after the death of his daughter. Pinch hitter director Joss Whedon turned in a Frankenstein monster of a movie on time, partially because WB executives allegedly wanted to make sure the movie opened in time for them to collect potential year-end 2017 bonuses in case AT&T sacked them in 2018. Justice League came off as a kind of Diet Avengers which pleased almost no one. The film, which earned mixed negative reviews, earned just $659 million. Even Man of Steel earned $668 million in 2013. By the way, that was a record for an origin movie, just coming behind Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie. So it was a good amount of money, but WB wanted $1 billion. And they believe a Superman movie should be reaching that. And I agree with that, by the way. The indifferent reception to the theatrical version of Justice League inspired a passionate online fan base demanding that Snyder be given a chance to reassemble his initial version. That wish was granted back in May as WB announced that a 4-hour miniseries version of Zack Snyder's Justice League would premiere sometime next year as an HBO Max event. At the time, it was reported that A, there would be no reshoots, and B, it would cost around $30 million. Whether or not that was initially the truth at the time, or whether poor initial subscriber numbers of HBO Max, arguably the best streaming site around for movies, I agree, naturally led to a greater commitment for a potential super-duper mega event, I cannot say. But whether a new cut of Justice League is worth $70 million will be quantified in media coverage and subscriber boosts. Nonetheless, this new cut of Justice League will cost more than WB's R-rated action violence like Joker. The drama won Joaquin Phoenix an Oscar earlier this year as it grossed $335 million domestic and $1.074 billion worldwide. More than Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, $1.073 billion. It's the biggest grossing movie ever never to play in China, the biggest R-rated movie ever, the most profitable in terms of rate of return comic book movie ever. Inflation notwithstanding, the new Justice League will cost just under the $75 million that Bryan Singer spent on Fox's first X-Men movie in 2000, and well above the $58 million budget for Tim Miller's $863 million grossing Deadpool. $863 million, not bad, hey Tim Miller. What happened to Tim Miller? Oh yeah, he made Terminator Dark Fate. I actually quite like that movie. But a conversation for another time. So there's no question Zack altogether, along with the original shoot he had, was given a lot of money for this movie, but it's a very ambitious undertaking. This development shows that the folks involved with the initial batch of DC filmed movies can't quite escape the shadow of that by studio edict Justice League movie. Henry Cavill has built a fine career playing cinematic heroes, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Rogue's Mission Impossible Fallout. But the media still hinges on every clue that he may play Superman again. Ben Affleck has been busy making old school studio programmers, The Way Back, Deep Water, The Last Duel, etc., yet still found himself returning to the cowl for The Flash. Even Snyder himself threatened to become the next Joel Schumacher. What? So defined by his infamous superhero movies that eclipses everything he made, directed, or after in terms of his pop culture legacy? No, because I still love Phone Booth and I still have a soft spot for his Batman movies too, even though they weren't the best. That Zack Snyder trilogy of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman and Justice League continues to hang over Warner Brothers as an example of allegedly poor choices, creative slip-ups and mismanagement. Back in 2016, the divisive reaction to Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad overshadowed the relative commercial success of those films. Suicide Squad earned $745 million, without China, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, $817 million, along with the evolution of the Conjuring universe into the first successful post-MCU cinematic universe. Back in 2017, the commercial failure of Justice League overshadowed the unmitigated triumphs of the Lego Batman movie, $317 million, Kong Skull Island, $568 million, Wonder Woman, $821 million, Dunkirk, $525 million, Annabelle Creation, $307 million, and $700 million. Even DC films have mostly been on a hot streak. Wonder Woman earned rave reviews and grossed $412.5 million domestic in 2017, while Aquaman topped a $1.148 billion in 2018. Shazam earned strong reviews and a decent $366 million global cum in 2019, while Joker became the first R-rated $1 billion plus grosser. Had things gone as planned, Wonder Woman 84 might have been DC Films' third $1 billion earned in 3 years, or maybe it would have settled for being the year's biggest domestic grosser. The Batman may not have been a guaranteed $1 billion grosser. Oh yes it is, but it will likely be a hit in 2021, followed by Aquaman 2 in 2022, plus whatever transpires with the Suicide Squad, The Flash, Black Adam, and Shazam Fury of the Gods. And yet conventional wisdom still suggests that DC Films is an example of studio incompetence. I wouldn't argue with that. This narrative reappears from those who feel that Snyder was done dirty in the initial Justice League production, as well as from folks who believe that letting him finish his director's cut is akin to caving to his sometimes abusive fans. And I get the impression, Scott, you agree with that too. It's not about caving in, mate. It's business. It's business. People want to see this movie. They're willing to spend the green. That's what business is about. And this is what you people just simply don't understand. The consumer is king because the consumer has the money to spend. The narrative reappears every time a trade article suggests that WB is struggling with how to proceed with Superman, kicking off a wave of WB is so stupid. How hard is it to make a Superman movie? I ask you, Scott, how hard is it to make a great Superman movie? Just as seemingly indifferent to the fact that Man of Steel, $668 million, and Superman Returns, $391 million, were disappointments, while Wonder Woman and Aquaman, two allegedly more challenging properties, were blockbusters. But Man of Steel, $668 million, was a good, solid return. It wasn't the billion they wanted, but it certainly wasn't bad. Then that doesn't mean that people don't want to watch Superman or they don't know what to do with Superman. And if they don't know what to do with Superman, they're the people who shouldn't be in their positions. Blame an SEO-driven media landscape, MEA culpa, where the relative failure of Sony's The Amazing Spider-Man 2, $709 million, is more noteworthy than their success with Venom, $854 million, and Jumanji 2, $962 million. Oh my God, that piece of shit made that much money. And where the collapse of Solo, $394 million, generates more ink than the triumph of Incredibles 2, $1.243 billion. If the Zack Snyder Cut of Justice League offers a bigger, grander, and more over-the-top fantastical Justice League movie, something closer in scale to Excalibur, then the word in the tone while driving a subscriber surge, that's a relative win, especially if I get to see it in IMAX. But DC Films needs to stop allowing itself to be defined by its past tense failures and more by its present tense success. Well, interesting article. Triggering. I think the title triggered a lot of people. Most people who attacked this article didn't bother to read it. That's clear. But I like to read these things. I like to, open the envelope and read the letter, not say, oh, this woman who dumped me has sent me a letter, but I don't want to talk to her. I want to know what's going on. I think he's making the point that going back to Snyder is reminding people of the failures of the DCEU. I don't agree. This is what the multiverse strategy is all about. You see, there's no question that what happened initially with the initial setup of the DCEU was very problematic. They had Zack Snyder, Jeff Johns, Charles Roven, this one, that one, too many cooks. It was a mistake, right? And what Snyder wanted to do and Nolan wanted to do was clearly never going to be a billion-dollar success for Man of Steel because it was Marmite. You either liked the taste or you didn't. Thankfully for me, Man of Steel and BVS, Dawn of Justice, is a taste that I really enjoy. Although, by the way, I hate Marmite and wouldn't touch that shit with a barge pole. But the point is, those films weren't for everyone. So it was pretty clear by the mess of Justice League, the 2017 theatrical release, that something had to be done. And it was pretty clear that Snyder's vision couldn't be the mainstream, the main lead for the DC cinematic universe. But there was enough love for Snyder and what he was attempting to do with the DCEU to give him a corner to work in. And I think us, the fans, that's all we ever wanted. And we all were suggesting that HBO Max is a great place for him. Now, I believe giving this man $70 million to finish this movie says to me this is not going to be a one and done. But they believe, AT&T and Warner Media and HBO Max believe that, like I do, obviously, as I wouldn't be giving him fucking $70 million to finish his movie, that this movie is going to be the biggest streaming event of all time. And that's massive. So, no, Scott, I don't agree. They shouldn't move away from early DCEU failures. Because at the end of the day, Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman weren't failures. They were movies that were deemed that the studio wanted a better response to and to make more money from. But they weren't failures because a lot of people loved these movies, right? And were robbed to see the conclusion or the continuation because Zack had a 5-movie arc planned. The point is, they may have not made the money the studio wanted, but they weren't flops, right? But the reaction was ugly. And it was awkward. And there's no question about that. And that's why we've got people like Jim Lee and Walter Hamada running things from upstairs now and, driving the DC extended live-action universe into this multiverse strategy, giving everyone what they want, the Snyder fans what they want. This is why we've got James Gunn in. It's a very interesting, exciting time where everything is canon now. This is a beautiful new direction. Even Zack Snyder talked about it at Fandom. He's spoken very briefly about the multiverse strategy. He's happy with it because he gets to do what he wants with very little pressure over on HBO Max, and we're going to get to enjoy that. I'm a DC fan, and I'm looking forward to all the stuff we're going to get because it's a mixture of tones, a variety of tones, a variety of ideas, a freedom of thinking. That's the most important thing. So what is my response, finally, today, here on the DC Multiverse Daily, about the haters, saying that he shouldn't get the $70 million, that he lied that the movie was finished, and the response about Cavill saying he's not doing reshoots. It's just noise, people. Ultimately, the headline, you just need to read. We won. We won. And by the way, we won. We are getting Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Whatever it's called, whether Zack implied it was finished, anything else doesn't matter. Henry Cavill potentially not coming back to reshoot more scenes is irrelevant. He's either needed for scenes or he's not. And I'll just repeat what I said on the top of the show. If he's not needed, then it's not a big deal. In terms of Superman and his future, there will be announcements for Brandon Routh, Henry Cavill. You just have to be patient, and a brand new Superman cast for J.J. Abrams movies as well. We're getting J.J. Abrams' Justice League Dark over on HBO Max as well. It's the best time I can ever remember to be a DC fan in terms of animation, in terms of comics, in terms of TV, and especially the films. We are in a better place now than we've ever been, where everything, DC live action, is absolute canon. In fact, potentially even the DCAU, the DC animated universe, is canon with the rest of the live action films. Potentially, you could cross them over. I know it sounds nuts and crazy, but I fucking love that. So I'm happy with DC. I'm excited. I'm not upset that Henry may not be doing some, additional scenes and shooting, because it doesn't matter to me. As a Superman fan, I know one thing. Henry Cavill's proper performance that we were meant to see in 2017 is coming, right? They've obviously shot everything they want of him. Otherwise, he'd be going back with the others. But maybe the rest of the Justice League are not going back either. Maybe Zack wants to shoot some certain things that he's not going to tell us right now. But in October, there'll be more to talk about the additional, pickups and all of that and the reshoots. It's exciting. And for the person who said on Twitter, oh, reshoots, this isn't going to end well. This is just Twitter talk. You've got to accept the opinions, move away, don't react to everything. We are getting a live action universe like nobody has tried to do ever in any franchise. It is a fantastic time to be a DC fan. And instead of being upset about things you have no need to be upset about, just fucking celebrate. Comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more DC Multiverse Daily. See you again soon.